Sean Diddy Combs is finished. His own former assistant just took the stand and said things that could destroy everything he's built. I'm not talking about some casual tea. This is the kind of testimony that shakes the foundation of his empire. Capricorn Clark, once Diddy's personal assistant, told the world that she was personally threatened by him, and that she witnessed him break into Kid Cudi's house in 2011 with a firearm, all because he found out about Cudi's relationship with Cassie Ventura. Now, this isn't just a he said, she said situation. Clark's testimony got deep. We're talking threats of murder, violence, and manipulation on a level that most people couldn't even imagine. She said Diddy wasn't just a boss. He was a man who used fear to control everyone in his orbit. And it doesn't end there. No, the details about what actually happened that night, when Diddy stormed into Cudi's home, are straight up chilling, and you won't believe what happened next, because Diddy's not just a criminal, but a straight up villain. So, what happened that night? It was December 2011. Kid Cudi, fresh off a brief fling with Cassie Ventura, was living his life. But Diddy? He wasn't having it. Once he found out about the relationship, he flipped. Completely lost control. And what happens next is straight out of a movie, except this was real life. Capricorn Clark, who was working for Diddy at the time, said she was in her own home when Diddy showed up, pissed off beyond belief, with a firearm in his hand. You heard me right, a firearm. He barged in, furious, yelling about Cudi and Cassie. And instead of just being angry and ranting, Diddy did something unbelievable. He told Clark, "Get dressed. We're going to go murder Kid Cudi." Let that sink in for a second. Imagine being in Clark's shoes. She knew this wasn't a typical argument. This wasn't just a jealous ex. No, this was life and death. Diddy was so enraged that he literally dragged her along to Cudi's house. Even though she refused to go with him, according to her, Diddy replied, "I don't give a f*** about what you want." His mind was made up, and in that moment, she didn't have a choice, as refusing him further could have put her life in danger as well. Clark said she could barely breathe as they drove to Cudi's house. She was stuck in the car, watching the man she worked for make a dangerous, deadly decision. A decision that could have ended with someone getting killed. But here's the twist. Clark didn't just sit there, letting it happen. As soon as Diddy and his goons rushed into Kid Cudi's house, she grabbed a burner phone and called Cassie Ventura, who was already in the middle of this nightmare. Clark warned her, and warned Cudi too, that Diddy was coming with a gun and that he was serious about his threats. She told Cassie, "Stop him, he's going to come for himself, and it's not going to end well." But Cassie didn't take it seriously at first. She thought it was just another angry outburst from Diddy. But Clark knew better. She feared for Cudi's life. As she spoke to Cassie, she heard the voice of Kid Cudi in the background saying, "He's in my house?" Cudi, unknowingly in the crosshairs of one of the most powerful men in the industry, had no idea what was coming his way. It was all unfolding so quickly, and Clark was trapped. A mere pawn in the middle of a volatile, explosive situation. Cudi previously testified about the call from Clark, saying he then drove over to confront Combs. Clark said Combs caught her on the phone and became even more angry. When Cudi showed up, Clark said Combs and his security team sped off. Cudi testified about going after them, but deciding to call the police and report the break-in. Clark said Combs asked her to reach out to Ventura and Cudi after the incident to talk about what happened, and make sure Cudi wasn't going to file a report. Clark recalled telling Ventura, "If you tell him, he's going to hurt us all." And said Ventura asked, "You really think he will?" Clark said Cudi was mind-blown about the whole thing. She said she and Ventura eventually went back to Combs' house, where she claimed she witnessed Combs kick Ventura repeatedly. She said he was wearing a robe and underwear and kicking her in full force. Clark testified she had never seen Combs act like that before, and it broke her heart to see Ventura crying and crouching in the fetal position. Clark said she told Combs' security to do something and told Ventura's mom about the alleged abuse. She said she later told his staff that Combs had kidnapped her with a gun to go kill Cudi and that he beat up Ventura all in one day. She said they told her that they would look into it and she was put on 30-day notice. Now, after all that chaos, you might think it would end there, right? That Diddy would calm down, realize how crazy things had gotten, and pull back. But nope, this is where it gets even worse. Because after that night, nothing really changed. Diddy's grip on his world only tightened. And for Capricorn Clark, things were about to spiral into a nightmare. Clark, already terrified for her own safety, had to live with the aftermath of that night. The violence, the threats, the constant fear, it didn't stop once they left Kid Cudi's house. In fact, it only intensified. She testified that Diddy didn't just let it slide. He was now more controlling and manipulative than ever. He had already put his hands on her life, and now, He was going to make sure everyone around him stayed in line. Clark spoke about the chilling things Diddy said to her in the aftermath. He made it clear that if she ever stepped out of line again, if she ever disrespected him or did something he didn't approve of, he'd make sure her career was destroyed. He didn't just want her loyalty, he demanded her complete obedience. He threatened her with total ruin, saying things like, "I'll make sure you'll never work again." But it wasn't just the professional threats. Clark's life was now on the line. Diddy's threats weren't just about getting her fired or blacklisted. They were about making sure she never existed in the industry again. She was scared for her own survival, and she wasn't alone in that fear. It wasn't just her career he controlled, it was her safety. Clark said she was often afraid of being followed or watched, and that Diddy's associates would always be around to make sure she didn't make any moves without him knowing about it. And don't even get me started on the abuse. Clark testified that she had seen Diddy physically attack Cassie over and over again. Cassie wasn't just an ex, she was a victim of constant emotional and physical violence. And Clark witnessed it all firsthand. She recalled specific moments when Diddy would attack Cassie, kicking her when she was down, belittling her, and reminding her that she was under his control. Clark said that there were times when Diddy would look at her and say, "You better not stop me." He was making it clear, if anyone tried to interfere with his control over Cassie, they would face the consequences. Clark tried to protect Cassie, tried to step in when Diddy went too far, but every time she was met with threats of violence. And this time, it wasn't just a threat to Cassie, it was a threat to her life too. And here's the kicker. Clark's hands were tied. She couldn't go to the police, couldn't call for help. Diddy made sure of that. She was caught between a rock and a hard place. A man she had once trusted, now turning her life into a nightmare of fear and violence. And for what? To keep Cassie under control, to keep his ego intact, and to prove that no one, not even his closest employees, could ever challenge him. Now, let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. This isn't just about one night or a couple of threats. This was a pattern. A dangerous pattern that Diddy seemed to follow with everyone in his life, whether they were employees, exes, or anyone who got too close. Clark's experience showed how Diddy's influence reached into every aspect of his world, especially with the people who worked for him. She described how even the smallest mistake could lead to dire consequences. One wrong move, and your life could be ruined, your career destroyed, your reputation in tatters. For Diddy, there was no such thing as a second chance. Clark spoke about how Diddy blacklisted her from the industry. She said after her fallout with him, she struggled to find work. She tried to rebuild her career, but every time she got close, it was like there was some invisible hand keeping her down, making sure she couldn't get back on her feet. No one would hire her. She had been marked. And that's the chilling part. Clark wasn't the only one. She wasn't the first person to feel the wrath of Diddy's empire. And she wasn't the last. People came and went, but the story was the same. Once you were in his circle, you were his. Completely. And the moment you stepped out of line, you became an enemy to be destroyed. Even after everything she had gone through, even after being abused, manipulated, and threatened, Clark still wanted to go back. Why? Because she was trapped. Diddy had so much power, so much control, that even when she tried to break free, she was forced back in. When she tried to find a new job, nothing worked. Clark said she went to various major companies in the industry, but every time she got close to something, she would be told the same thing. Diddy's still in control of everything. Her career wasn't just her own. It was under his control, whether she was working for him or not. And the worst part, even when she thought she had finally gotten away, when she tried to move on, she got sucked back into Diddy's orbit again, this time working as a creative director for Cassie. But it was still the same game. Diddy was pulling the strings, making sure everything Cassie did was approved by him, controlling her career, her image, and even her personal life. It also seems like Diddy's defense has run out of things to properly defend him, because the defense pulled up texts Clark sent Combs in 2021 talking about having a crush on him before she started working for him, which in my opinion is completely unrelated. The defense then asked Clark if Ventura was a hard worker. Clark explained she was at times, but as the years went on, Ventura preferred to be with her boyfriend. Clark also testified that Combs eventually took a step back from Ventura's career, putting more of it in Ventura's hands, adding Ventura had her own voice in it. Clark also said Combs hired her again in 2016 because of Ventura. He did what Cassie wanted, and Cassie wanted me back, Clark testified. So what happens next? Can Diddy's empire survive this? Can he maintain his grip on his power, or is the truth too much for him to cover up? Honestly, I don't think so. The evidence is just way too strong, and with each passing day in this trial, it's becoming clear that the world is starting to see who Diddy really is. His ability to control the narrative, to keep the world thinking he's untouchable, is starting to fade. If you're as shocked as I am by everything that's come out, hit that like button and make sure to subscribe for more updates on this trial. The truth is coming out, and this story is far from over. As always, thank you for tuning into Goja Gossip. See you next time.